Banco Beverage. Proudly serving the Lehigh Valley for over 80 years. It's 80 years. Say it with me. 80 years. It's a long time. Over 30 plus breweries distributed, including Miller, Yuengling, Pabst, Guinness, Heineken, plus a generous variety of imported and specialty brands. They are located at Crackersport Road in Allentown, PA. Can't get any more local than that, Lehigh Valley. Banco Beverage is locally owned, operated since 1933. They have an exceptional team of staff dedicated to making their customers happy. If you're interested in having Banco be your purveyor for whatever bar or establishment you own, you can go to www.bancobeverage.com. I have the information in the ads as well, and I want to thank Banco for coming on and being a sponsor. Myself and Tony are working on some projects, and we are going to be bringing some really cool content, as well as Banco is going to be providing for a lot of the things that we do event-wise. So thank you, Banco, again. Thank you, Tony, and check out Banco Beverage. Giacomo's Italian Market. What an awesome relationship that has blossomed between Never Again Studio and Giacomo's Italian Market. We've been working with them with Studio Kitchen. We've been doing their Italian sausage and going to pop-ups with them. I love Sal. I love all the guys over there. It's always awesome collaborating. And you should go check them out. They got specialty Italian items. They're famous for the cheesesteak, the sausage. I can't even list everything because everything over there on that menu is fantastic. It's a home run. They are in Easton, PA, 700 Cattell Street. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton, PA. They are over by College Hill. It's a dope area to check out. You need to go there. They got plenty of inside seating. They got all kinds of specialty Italian things off to the side, of pasta, vodka sauce. I usually just go there because I'm not making it as good as Sal. So I pick up my vodka sauce and, I say, what's up? We got some oils and all kinds of different things. But I can't say nothing but positive things over at Giacomo's. If you know them, you know them. If you don't know them, you're crazy and you need to get over there. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton. That's Giacomo's Italian Market. Tell Sal what's up. The Curious Plantaholic, located in Nazareth and Clinton, New Jersey. The Nazareth location was opened first, and I met Jenny. We immediately hit it off. I knew we would start working on projects. She is the energy and the breath of fresh air that Nazareth needs. I started buying plants off of her, went down a rabbit hole. Now I got a bunch of plants I got to take care of. I'm trying my hardest. People are helping me. What an awesome shop for plants, retail. The energy in there is amazing. The employees in there are amazing. It's a plant and supply store focused on connecting with local communities, and boy, do they do a fantastic job at that. I can't say enough about these guys. You need to go to their locations and check them out, but they also have plants for sale online. It's thecuriousplantaholic.com, and right now they have two locations, which is Nazareth, and the other one is Clinton, New Jersey. Please check them out, and you can get more information at curiousplantaholic.com. I'm going to be working with Jenny on some other projects as well, so you will see us kind of creating a vibe and some things going on in Nazareth. We're really going to help kind of revitalize and get some things going on in Nazareth. So if you want to, please check out the Curious Plantaholics in Nazareth. Support local, support us. They support the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on as a sponsor. So this is... Welcome to Never Again Radio, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
We talked for 45 minutes before we started. Yeah. I'm not too worried about doing this podcast. I kind of want to get into what we usually do, where you're at, how you started this whole thing. I know there's other people involved in this, but how did 12th and Market start?
Pretty much all through skateboarding. So 12th and Market it's just a corner in Bethlehem. My friend Corey lived on his whole life. Actually grew up and bought the house from his parents, so he cool. Still lives there, which is awesome. But yeah, we just, that was kind of the hub. We always meet there, we'd skate there, we'd hang out there. It was just where our friend group kind of consolidated, and that was really it, man. We started skateboarding and through skateboarding, it's like, okay, we want to make skate videos, so we bought a camera. We want to shoot photos, so we buy a photo camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just started like spreading out, and that's kind of the amazing thing about skateboarding is that it introduced us to content creation, I guess is what you would call it now, but at like a super early age. You know what I mean? When people weren't doing that, we were probably 11, 12 years old, and we were buying, VX1000, VX2100, these like expensive cameras that no one even would know what that is. You know?
What I mean? When it's funny you say that, because we talked a little bit last night, and I was thinking about like when I was younger and would skate, is like when we skated, part of wanting to skate was because you were watching skate videos. Back in my day, like you would have to go to the skate shop and it was on VHS, and then like Amateur or whatever would have it back in the case by like the trucks, and you'd be like, hey, the new video drop. Now it's clips, but like that was such a thing to sit and we would watch a video, you would get pumped to skate, and then we would all go out skating, and then at some point somebody would get a hold of a camera. Like, 'cause my dad had a video camera early on, because my grandmother wanted all of her sons to videotape vacations, and then when she would come visit, she would want to watch the vacation.
Right, okay.
I would ruin most of those times. Like, I'd be like falling into garbage cans, and my dad would be yelling at me. But like eventually there was somebody in the group where we were allowed to use a video camera, and then we would go out and we would try and make our own skate videos. And like what you were saying, that was content creating before it was content creating.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like there's like a lane of other things that come with skateboarding where like somebody does want to make the video, or hey, let's take pictures, and then like you want to kind of recreate your favorite skaters that you watched in these different videos. I remember when it was a big deal where like somebody would be like, I got a video, and we'd be like, oh, we're going over to DJ's, and like we'd go up into his room, or maybe it was somebody we're hanging out with where their parents didn't care if we smoked cigarettes, and we'd be like, let's go over to DJ's and watch the tape. But it was like that was something, a part of skateboarding that I always enjoyed, because there was other things to do besides skate. Like it was like we were creating a video, and they were always terrible, but we would even make our own videos and then sit down and watch it. But like it's so crazy that the kids don't understand that like you could go out right now, get a bunch of tricks, use licensed music, use filters and editing system, and have it up same day. Like we'd watch our stuff and there'd be no music playing. So like to be able to get into that lane of like creating and whatnot, it was always so much more with skateboarding that was part of what I really liked about it, was like the culture, the creativity, the fashion, and all of like the things that came with it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and it introduced me to everything I do now. I mean, it was, okay, we want to film ourselves skateboarding, so buy a video camera. We want to shoot photos and have it, with the fisheye lens and make it look like the stuff in the magazine.
Lens.
So let's buy a fisheye lens. Okay, we want to design shirts. Let's fuck around on Photoshop or Paint or whatever, whatever we're using at the time. Editing, Windows Movie Maker or whatever we were using at the time. Like we were doing all of that at 13, 14 years old. You know what I mean? It introduced me to everything creative that I do today.
When did it start? Well, when did you start taking it to take it into something where you guys wanted to turn it into a brand? Because you do multiple things with it, which I want to get into, but I kind of want to see where it grew from. So like, when did you guys kind of start like rocketing it as a brand?
So when I was, let me think about this. So I mean, in those earlier years, I was skating for other brands that, I was sponsored by a few companies that were just sending me product. But then as I got into high school, I wanted to do it myself, so I started a clothing brand back in those days. It was called Alumni Attire at the time.
Do you have any of the shirts left?
I do have a couple of them, and that was awesome. And I was like annoying as hell. I was like sending it to everyone, like online. I'm like reaching out to everyone, trying to get someone like famous to wear it or do whatever. And so Alumni Attire was the first company. We got it. One of the companies I was skating for, he was like good friends with Mac Miller at the time. He gave some of the clothing to Mac. Mac wore it like when he accepted the key to the city. You know what I mean? So it's like it's on his MTV show. He was wearing it.
So
you know what I mean?
cool.
So
I
it was
love Mac
awesome. And
what was that like for you?
Oh my God, I remember I was in my friend's basement and he saw it on his Instagram like first and showed it to me, and we were just fucking losing our minds. But nothing came of it because I didn't have the inventory to back that up. People wanted it then, and I didn't have anything to sell. You know what I mean? So that was like a good lesson for me, because I skipped that whole foundation process of building the foundation of a company. You know what I mean? So with 12th and Market, what I really wanted to do was not worry about that, not worry about like who's going to wear it and sending it out to someone famous who's going to get all these views, but like really building 12th and Market as not only just a company, but like a community. And I think we've done a good job of that so far.
I think that's huge to even point that out. There was things that went on with the podcast where, our first viral thing wasn't on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like it should have been. So like our YouTube wasn't set up. And then it was like these milestones like that is behind the brand, but nothing happened because it wasn't connected. And that's when you start realizing that sometimes when you push so hard, you might be pushing in the wrong direction and you don't have the base of everything set up.
Right.
And that's huge, especially if you're starting something from nothing. And, I remember, like, it's funny. I love having brands on and clothing companies on, and you relate to them because it pulls back the story of my stuff. And I remember back in the day, just, hey, take this sweatshirt, or like when I used to have skate teams, and I'd be spending all kinds of crazy money buying people boards and T-shirts, and like there wasn't even a way for them to even expose it, other than that you would see them skating in it. So it's like it worked with some people, or like my friends that got it, or they would get other people to buy the boards. But like in the end, it's like I was just giving thousands of dollars of merch out to people because they wanted free shit. And then in turns, I was hoping that I would get something out of it. 90% of the time I never was. There wasn't a place to really go buy it. There wasn't, like what you said, I didn't have the inventory, or something would pop and, hey, I want one of those. Oh, maybe I'll make them when we do the shirts again. Right now I'm working on this. It wasn't how any of the shit's set up for me now. It's super frustrating too to learn that lesson when you're like, fuck, that must have been crazy to be like, what do we do now?
I had like 25 shirts, I think, at the time. So it was like, okay, all those sold out. And then it was, okay, people were hitting me up wanting them. And I was like, okay, well, we have to get them we have to get them printed. Like, this is going to take maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And no.
That's still got to be motivating to know that he looked at all of his shit to wear that day and he was like, oh, I'll rock this.
Yeah, he wore it multiple times, not just one shirt. He wore a couple of our pieces, you know what I mean, over the course.
That's got to be motivating from a creative stance of like, this is the right direction.
It was incredible. It was awesome. I mean, and Mac was one of my favorite artists at the time. You know, I mean, I was in high school right as his big kind of pop happened. So, I mean, it was awesome. But yeah, a good lesson to learn and and something that we corrected moving forward.
Where did you go from there?
So after that, I went off to college, and I was doing it, but I really, wasn't like into it. I was like always designing and making, whatever T-shirt designs, and I would always have like mock-ups on my computer or whatever, but I was just really never doing anything with it. 12th and Market, I really just started taking seriously when maybe about 3 years ago. It started out as Humans. That was the other name that we came up with.
Was college based around anything for building a business?
No, not at all. I was my degree was in economics. I was not doing anything close to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my mom was always like, "You're creative. I don't know why you don't go to art school. Go to art school." And I was like, "There's no fucking money in art school. I don't want to go to art school. I want to make money. I don't want to just be like the starving artist. You know what I mean?" But it's probably what I should have done. I was just so fucking motivated to do anything design related, whether it was designing websites, designing T-shirts, drawing up skateboards, whatever I was doing at the time. But yeah, once I graduated college and I was like, okay, the career thing is set. I'm doing what I'm doing in my career, and now I have money to actually do something that I want to do. I hopped right back into it, and we started Humans, which was the first skate brand. But I started it, sent it for trademark, sent it to get trademarked right away. And when they came back and there was like something that was close to it or whatever, and I didn't even want to fucking deal with it. So then, my friends and I kind of landed on the 12th and Market thing, and that's been it ever since.
At what point were you, that the 12th and Market, like, was that where you just like, fuck, I don't, because I remember when I was doing Never Again, I started running the business hoping nothing would come back. And then, the only thing that came close was like Never Cold Again, and it was like mittens, and I was like, cool, we're good. But like that was scary to put up that kind of money and then be like, cool, I can't do this. Yeah, like the trademark stuff is the whole process. I didn't understand it. I went to LegalZoom and spent way too much money.
Yeah, that's
like
what I did the first time.
I remember because like Never Again came from a tattoo I was putting on me because I quit drinking at the time, and I had this pirate tattoo my friend was doing on my chest and stomach, and we had rum jugs, and we were like, well, what are we gonna do now? And then she was like, well, I can put X's in them. I'm like, well, I'm not straight edge. I just, this is just something I'm doing. And I always like to separate that when I was talking about it, because it wasn't really about getting sober. And when I tell people, because I drink now and I did 10 years not, but like I tell people, like, it's a version of myself that I didn't want to be anymore. And I've learned a lot in that time, and I couldn't explain what it was at the time, but people correlated it because I wasn't drinking. So she was like, well, what are we going to do? And I was just like, well, I don't know. And then she was like, well, why don't we just put Never on one rum jug and Again on the other? And I was like, yeah, cool, awesome. Let's do that. And then at that same time, I was bitching to my brother about, I came up in like the 90s streetwear where we were talking was like, which is coming back now, which everything is big. Yeah. So like, I didn't like the way anything looked. So, I was talking to my brother, and I'm like, he's like, well, why don't you just start making your own clothes? And then I needed to keep busy because I wanted to stay sober. Yeah, and at that time, he was sending me a board a month. I still have them, but like, I couldn't rely on him to make me a fucking hand-painted skateboard every month, but you count your days. So then I was like, all right, I can get into these projects. I'm just going to make my own clothing. And he's like, well, what do you want to call it? And I was like, I'll call it Never Again, because it was like correlating to the tattoo. Yeah, right. And then that's just kind of where it took off, and I've just been addicted to fucking design and making clothes. And like we said earlier, like, I would be doing this no matter what. I always relate with that at Ray. Like, Ray has a full-time job, and Ray just gets into projects, whether he's like writing, he's doing Lost Souls, and then he's doing so much crazy stuff in Japan, and then he'll come over here and put out a children's book just because he's bored and like just wants to get into a different creative outlet. So that's kind of where I started dumping everything. And then I remember sitting down and being like, I should trademark this. And it was the last thing I put on a credit card I maxed out. And then I didn't know anything. I still don't understand trademark. Like, I'm just like, I have to keep it updated, but like, that's crazy because they don't get back to you for months, and then they're like, well, you can run your business anyways in hopes.
I think they know what they're doing. They don't want you to really understand it.
None of it makes sense.
Tossing money out the window.
Especially with the law school.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So when you guys kind of got the humans thing, at that time, is it just yourself who's working on this, or is it just kind of this group of friends that you've skated with? Or
it was just, my group of friends, and my core group of friends I've known since, they're like brothers, you know what I mean? So it's they support everything I do, and I just, I love all my friends to death. They're, like I said, they're family. So anything I would do, they would support, and that was from clothing to events I'm throwing. They're helping me out, and all of it. So yeah, it's just those same core group of friends, and I consider them all a part of what we do.
It's cool the way it kind of came out, where the trademark didn't work, and then it kind of like represents what you're doing more than humans would have. And I remember when I first saw 12th and Market, I'm like, oh, that's a fucking dope name. And then like I started seeing the designs and shit, and then I was just like, oh, this is cool. Like, it really separated, in my opinion, seeing stuff that was going on. When I saw 12th and Market, I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, it's just saying it's its own thing. It's not even though it didn't make sense to me, it seemed more of like a branded thing already than if it would have just been humans. All right, well, what's humans? Like, then when you see it's got the skate culture plugged into it, like, it just made sense. It's a dope name.
It was, once we got to that point where we were like, okay, it's going to be 12th and Market,
Was there a lot of conversation beforehand?
Not really. Like, once we got the notification about the trade, like, we could have moved forward with the trademark. Yeah. You know how they do it. They send you like a couple things that might be close or whatever, and I just didn't even want to deal with that. And then at that point, we were thinking about doing, it started as a capsule collection we were going to do with humans. That was just going to be a 12th and Market collection, just like an homage to our childhood. So then we were like, well, fuck it, let's just have the whole name be that. And then once we got on that path, it was like, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's dope when lanes open. And I try and tell people all the time, just because I've been creating for so long, whether it's successful or not successful, when something opens up and you kind of, it feels correct, like, go with your gut. Like, I guess it is your gut, but sometimes when you're creating, it feels like it's a path. And when those paths open and you just start making progress and things start happening, it's like, all right, let's stay here. Like, let's not go over here. Like, things are happening here. We're making moves here. This is able to be branded. And what was kind of your first steps with 12th and Market?
The first thing, so...
What did you want it to be?
I mean,
originally.
again, it was like it's a skateboarding brand through and through. That's what it started with. It was boards and like streetwear T-shirts and shit. Like you were saying, like the '90s was all about that, just like logo tees and
the
like,
goldfish. It was just the goldfish or the girl. Like it was just the girl's bathroom logo.
And that was
how genius is that?
Fucking awesome. I loved all that shit. So that's kind of was like our first T-shirts were just like those logo tees with that in mind, just like '90s skate streetwear culture. So that's what it started out with, and skateboards. And our first board was like the map logo. I don't know if you saw like the map design we do. And again, it's just like it's all about 12th Market is in the Lehigh Valley. Like, let's just run with it and I want it to be just about the Lehigh Valley. And through that, it became, okay, we're working with skateboarders in the Lehigh Valley, obviously. And then it was, okay, we're doing Skate Magazine. And then the Skate Magazine kind of turned into, all right, we're meeting all these artists and stuff that we're working with through the magazine. So we're doing kind of like music things now. And it just started like organically growing into any and everything skateboarding, art. Again, skateboarding it's all of that. It's videography, it's photography. It covers that whole ground. So that's what it became, just everything. And now we do everything.
What was the very first thing you created with it? Was it the boards, or did you make the shirts, or what was kind of the first entry into kind of like, let's get this going?
Yeah, it was the boards, I think. I think the first thing we created was the map deck. That just had like Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton. It was a map.
Yeah, and then where'd you go from there?
We started doing clothing, and I mean, we really picked up with the magazine then, and so then Palette Magazine.
I want to hang on the magazine for a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I mean, as far as 12th Market though, it was just probably T-shirts. We pumped out a bunch of T-shirts. We fucked around with some other shit, hats and jeans and stuff, but
it's hard to move stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a problem moving things.
Yeah.
It's really just I'm super picky with everything.
Yeah,
like I get samples from manufacturers, jeans and stuff, and I'm super picky with how they fit and the quality of it. So like I'll get samples, and could get like a bulk order and start selling them, but I just don't want to do that unless it's perfect and what I want.
When I remember like trying to create like a catalog of like stuff, like you were saying, like jeans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And your options from getting from suppliers, like when I was doing it was like, hey, this is like what you would order if you had like a field hockey team. And I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, it was hard to find, like, and I remember I got a job in a screen printing shop just so I could start touching the material, because I'm picky like that as well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I found the right shirt, and then like, I wanted to do jeans, but then it's like, all right, well, how do you even find a jean company? And then it was a lot of like really deep digging to just not put your stuff on something you're not happy with.
Yeah, right.
Where were you able to find like suppliers and things that you wanted?
I mean, I eventually started going overseas and, working with suppliers in China, Pakistan, like different countries that I was just trying to find someone that could get that high quality feel.
Yeah.
I'm still looking, man. It's hard. It's, I've gotten samples from a few of these brands, and these suppliers, and I'm just like, I don't even know what the fuck this is. It feels like paper.
Yeah.
It feels like cardboard. So I'm just, shirts are easy, hoodies are easy, jackets and stuff are pretty easy, but when it comes to pants, man, I haven't found it yet. Someone that can make like a high quality.
Because you got to basically get them to make you a sample, and then then you got to keep going back and forth, and then when it's done, you got to buy like a shipping container.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, shipping's fucking ridiculous coming from overseas. They might charge you $200-$300 in shipping, and there's a language barrier there a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's tough. Like, and they're up. If I'm working with someone in China, it's 2 a.m. here. They're like, midday work. They're like working midday right there. So I'm on the phone. I'm like staying up till 2 a.m. trying to like talk to the supplier, and it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but we'll get it eventually. We're close.
That's cool. Yeah. Do you do the trade shows like Magic and stuff like that? Have you gone to anything like that?
Not yet. I mean,
are you interested in it?
Yeah, for sure.
They're cool.
We'll get there. But I don't have. Like I said, I want to have like a full lineup of inventory to really go with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
that's always been something I wanted to do, and I got sidetracked with doing the podcast and other things. And in the back of my head, I always want to go back to, even if I just do it for a couple of items. I've always wanted to do magic. There was only a couple. There's a lot more now, but there was one in the city. I forget what it was, but you kind of had to get invited to it. But I've had a friend who went out to magic in Vegas, and he said it was fucking awesome. I've always wanted to do it, like just to set up the booth, and you got buyers coming through, and it's not really like when you're doing like the tattoo conventions or something where you hope a couple people are buying it. Like if you have your shit together, you can be in fucking massive stores, and you can be moving fucking 20, 30,000 fucking items. And then that was always like in my head, I was like, well, that's the payout. You know, it's awesome selling stuff on a small level, but to hit those big numbers, that's where you can make a lot of fucking money.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think what I have in my head, what I see with a trade show like that is, so Agenda is a big one.
Yes, that was the other one. That's on the East Coast, correct?
Yeah, I think they have two. I think they have one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. I think Atlantic City, maybe they do. Maybe
shout
mostly,
out,
I don't know.
fucking great place.
But, so like I would love to do that, but I want to do it when I can design like a fucking awesome booth. You know, I don't want just like a table with a cloth or whatever. Like I'd like to do it,
you would have to, because then that's how you get attention as well for people to come to your booth. Where they're like, yo, look at this person's booth. The whole thing has always just kind of like bit me in the ass in the sense of like I want to go after it just from the amount of creativity you could dump out into the entire fucking thing.
Exactly.
Designing the fucking the booth, getting people to come out, all like the bags to go, how you package everything up, making your entire line. Like I just look at that as I'm like, yo, like I think I would like be okay for 3 days after doing that. Like the dump off on that where you'd be I'm good. I'm good. Like there's a lot that you can do that. I've always just wanted to go and check them out. And I think eventually like I got out to Vegas. I'm going out to Cali. Like once I start traveling alone and I kind of like I'm okay with doing that. Like after this next trip, I think I'll be confident enough where I just won't give a fuck. Because there's things that I want to do where sometimes when I ask people to go, they don't understand what I'm doing. But like, I would love to, now that I've been to Vegas, like, yeah, I can now see myself. I can get on a plane and go out to fucking Agenda and just go as somebody to check it out, or like these different shows. Like, I don't need to go with people. Like, I'll just go get content or go, go and with doing the podcast, it's like you can get it. There's ways of weaseling it in with fucking, it's fucking, I'm promoting stuff. And I've always just even wanted to go out to check out stuff like that. I've always been, this is why I love bringing on like clothing people, because there's so much that I didn't accomplish because other things came up, like the podcast and like what I'm doing now with restaurants and stuff. And like, there's this hole that I never fucking filled. And like, I love bringing people on and like just picking their brain. Like, are you going to go do that? Like, it's cool seeing other people in the Valley, like trying to like go after something that big. Cause it's not really fucking around when you're on that level. Like you're trying to fucking, that's some serious shit. And then to have
business,
to have the confidence because, an artist enjoyed your stuff, like that means that other people in the genre that you're in that fuck with him, which is like this really cool community, fucks with your stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like, so to go out there and to hit a home run with that, it would be life-changing.
Absolutely, man. And like I was lucky enough to, so for during the COVID thing, when my main job was slow, I picked up a job just I was the main illustrator for this app company that was based out in Vegas. And I was just doing nothing but design work. I like designed their mascot, and we were just doing all these different like iterations of their mascot doing things. You know what I mean? It was like this little astronaut character, alien thing, but they'd be like, okay, we want him to be playing basketball, or okay, our company's going live on the stock exchange. We want him, at the New York Stock Exchange doing this. So I was able to like really hone in that craft of my creating, my drawing and Photoshop and Illustrator and all that, and build up that confidence. You know what I mean? To know like, okay, I'm a good artist. I don't have that doubt anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is nice.
That's huge. What was that like to be doing that during COVID?
It was incredible, man. I loved it. It was fucking awesome. It was like I
could
have
like, can you
done
just
that
stay
full
shut
time.
down?
Yeah, dude, it was awesome. Yeah. Unfortunately, the CEO of the company, who I became really good friends with and ended up helping me with my NFT thing and all that shit, he passed away like unexpectedly, and it just plunged the whole company. You know what I mean?
That
So
sucks.
it fell through. Yeah, but my main job, luckily, was stable. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like a earth shattering
Yeah.
thing, to get that pulled out from underneath me. But man, I wish it could have kept going because it was incredible.
So then now, kind of where the storyline is unfolding is, I know I kind of sidetracked on the merch and stuff, but I just love that topic. But where does the magazine come into play?
The magazine started, I want to say like fall of 2020, maybe. I don't even remember really why we started. I think I just had like a bunch of leftover shit laying around, like illustrations, photos. I was just getting into photography, all that kind of thing. So I just wanted something where I was like, okay, I have all these photos, I have all these drawings. Let's just do like a big Lehigh Valley magazine where we can get all these artists who are like me, who are looking for an outlet for their work, and let's put it all into one zone. And let's do something that's never really been done before. At the time, no one does what Palette does. You know what I mean? We were adding QR codes with, okay, we have a skate photo, and now there's a QR code that you scan and it shows the clip of the photo. Or animators. Like where were animators putting their shit if not on YouTube or something? They couldn't do anything with a magazine. So now we have QR codes that scan and it shows someone's animation or a video or a podcast or whatever it may be. So it was like the first time the magazine became this thing where, okay, there's photos, there's visual stuff, but then there's also like this media side to it. It's a paper magazine, it's a physical magazine, but you could still get animations and videos and music.
Where did you go to even start on making a magazine?
What do you mean, like where I got it printed?
Yeah, like what was kind of the
Some
angle
website.
on? So you kind of had information on getting it made to begin with?
I mean, I just looked it up online. I just looked up how to print a magazine, and it brought me to a bunch of websites and stuff. You know what I mean? And there's trial and error there, obviously. But I knew I wanted something high quality. You know what I mean? So the paper that we use is nice, thick gloss paper. It's not like a shitty magazine, you know what I mean? Or like a black and white magazine or something like that. It's full color, high quality images. We work with like great photographers. My friend Justin is like an amazing photographer. So when he sees his photo in our magazine, it's not like some shitty version of it. You know what I mean? It's high quality. It's what it should look like.
And then how do people get a hold of the magazine?
We sell it online. We usually do like a release event for it. So we'll have them there at the event. Like it's been incredible. Our Palette 6 event we did last October, and we had, a couple hundred copies there, and we sold out that day. You know what I mean? Just from having people at the event.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah. No, it's been awesome. Every, knock on wood, every Palette release we've had has pretty much done that.
I like that it's almost like retro with a new age spin on it. So like you could still get like, I remember getting magazines and shit back in the day, and it kind of like disappeared. And it's like something that I miss. Like I remember, and I don't care, I'm a fucking gamer. So like I used to get GameStop in the fucking mail. But like that was such a big part of and Thrasher and Cheapskate and all that shit. But like I remember coming home, and that was the first thing you did was look through the mail. Oh, the magazine's here. And then that kind of died off, and a lot of things went digital. But to go almost retro on that, and then have a physical copy, but then to do new age shit with like the QR code shit, like that's dope, because then you can scan that, and then now you're taking a digital aspect by being able to bring the person to their phone, and then they can go back to the magazine at the same time. That's a really fucking rad idea.
I know, and I mean, because I grew up the same way. I was born in '92, so I kind of caught that tail end of the '90s where I loved physical magazines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, that's what I wanted to I wanted to read that. So I mean, that's why we ended up doing it, was just because I like a physical magazine. I want to see them like all lined up, all the issues we have on our bookshelf or whatever on a table, all
How many
lined up.
issues have you done?
6 so far. We're going into our 7th. It was supposed to come out this summer. We delayed it a little bit just because we were doing some things with this afternoon radio thing, but that'll probably come out, I think, New Year's. We're going to do like a big New Year's event where we'll release Palette 7.
How does that whole process go? Like, is there multiple people involved, obviously, and then you kind of sit in and like kind of walk us through how you even lay out a fucking magazine? Which it's all this is now making sense with you doing that job and like really honing your skills in, and then kind of getting over the confidence issues, or like, you know, be like, no, I remember shit with this, where I'd be like, and then I got to a point where I was like, no, I'm fucking good at interviewing. Like, you just hit that level, and then when you have that confidence, doing a project is no longer you second guess it. You're more like, yo, let's do this. And then you can drive into it because you know what you can actually are capable of. So when you sit down, how do you even put this together?
Well, we're basically a submission based magazine for the most part. Like, we have our core photographers we work with. I mean, I'm a photographer. Like I said, my friend Justin is like an amazing skateboarding photographer. He's a photographer for a living, so he does all kinds of shit.
That's cool.
So, like, you know, we work with him to get our main kind of photos, and we start with, you know, there's like, okay, we have this 100-page magazine. We'll have certain pages like set aside for the stuff that we're doing, and then whatever's left over we take from submissions. So people, luckily, you know, they submit constantly. So we have, you know, local
What are
people.
some of the things that they would submit?
We accept everything. We accept photos, we accept videos, we accept animations, SoundCloud links, music videos, you know,
stories
anything,
too.
Everything. Poetry, anything and everything. I do interviews in the magazine, so I interview, you know, last magazine we interviewed Jimmy Gurecki, who was a professional skateboarder back in the day. Now he designs clothes, but just like big in that world.
How do you do the interviews, over phone or?
Shit, we've done them multiple ways. I've done text interviews where we're like, we have an interview coming out Palette 7 with Fool's Game, which is a local hardcore band, and we just did a group chat with them, and I was just texting back and forth with them, and they were chiming in or whatever, and we just have in the magazine, it's going to be just printed, the group chat.
This
you know
is so fucking cool.
So, like,
I'm so glad I brought you on, because it's like, I liked visually what you did. I liked fucking with what you did, but I never deep dived into what you guys are really doing. And sometimes I'll bring people on because I want to do that, and to have an hour long or more conversation to be able to get through this and have somebody explain what they're really doing, and then understand how much you get to fucking itch on it. Like, I'm so floored right now, being like, the amount of creativity that you could put into that fucking magazine, and you have the freedom to do whatever you want, and then you even explaining that, like, just putting out the group chat, I'm like, there's so much retro and new age shit combined in there, but there's such a fucking hip hop, skateboarding, just the way you do it is exactly what it should be for what it's being created for, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And with Palette, it's like, my goal with that was, I don't give a fuck about money with any of this shit. Like, it's a physical magazine. There's no money in magazines, you know what I mean? So it's not like, I'm not searching for ad space or anything. Like, I'm not having people pay for ad space, really. Like, we'll do a couple here and there, but it's mostly just from other skateboarders or people that, you know, are in this world. But that was my main thing, was like, I want this to be, you know, we'll sell product and we'll make our money where we need to make our money, but with this magazine, I want it to be not involved with any of that. This is a pure creative outlet for the Lehigh Valley and friends and family or whatever, that, and all the amazing artists that I know that don't have a spot to put their shit, you know what I mean? So that's what it is. It's whatever I like. That's what Palette is.
That's really fucking cool. I really like that you have so many different things going on, and we talked about that, you know, before we started, where it's like, you know, sometimes people get narrow-minded focused on kind of creating something, and the way I am is like, I can't really create a business out of, I have created a business out of this, but it was a very difficult thing to do because I don't do this for money. So like, when this started, there wasn't even an option to make money. So I spent a bunch of money on being able to create, and then when I started creating, it was really hard, and still is hard for me to put restraints on it. And then as I got further, like, and we were talking, it's like, all right, well, if I make a little bit here, I make a little bit here, I make a little bit here, and I have apparel, and I have a little bit from ads, and then like I could do a pop-up, and all three of those things make money, and I'm not fucking asking everybody for too much, or you're not hammering someone to, oh, you got to pay a subscription to do this, and you kind of like, people start, you know, you start turning it into a Netflix feed for some people. Like, I never really wanted to do that, so it's very hard. But then for you to be able to get all your creative dumps, and then in between all this other stuff that you're doing, stop and then give back by putting other people up, because you know how fucking hard it is to get put up on shit, that's fucking awesome. Because you're still able to create, you're still making money here and there, or you still have a job in order to keep all this stuff going, and you're just doing it out of 100% wanting to create.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds nice to say I'm doing it for other people, but don't get it twisted. Part of it is a selfish endeavor. You know what I mean? I like seeing my work in a magazine. I like, having that medium to show what I'm working on as well. You know what I mean? So anything that's in the magazine that's not credited to someone else or another artist, most of the time it's me, whether it's photography, sketches, we put in anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just because I do so much, I wanted the magazine to just reflect that, you know what I mean? And through doing the magazine, I've met amazing artists.
Yeah.
In the Lehigh Valley, you know what I mean? And it's really opened my eyes to like, holy shit, we have everything we need right here. Like, I really think Allentown can be a New York City. It can be one of these hubs for music, for painting, for, any of these artistic forms.
Yeah. I like it. I like the magazine. I'm really intrigued by that now. I think it's cool.
We gotta get you in there, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I really like what you're doing. Like I said, like when I had Clapped on, and there's just specific people on where it just really goes parallel with just creating and just wanting to create. And then like even like for talking 45 minutes, we wouldn't have stopped talking if I didn't start getting us on track to do this. I was like, I just need to get us on. But like when I meet people like that, it's fucking dope because you're already like, hey, you should check this person out. And like, that's one thing with the podcast is where like the networking became so fucking strong with it, where it's like there's so many people, and then when it aligns correctly, and someone's like, yo, you know who you need to get in here, or like who should come down here, and then that just goes down this other rabbit hole. And it's really cool that you kind of created this central hub of like all things that you love doing, plus all these different outlets to put it out there, and then now you're just creating businesses within it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm completely addicted to it, and I don't think I'll ever stop doing it.
Yeah,
I've tried, and like I just was like depressed, and then I was like, I'm like, I need to do this shit. And then like what's crazy is like I built all of this out of like a very fucked up time in my life, and then now I've realized over the years when friends pass or like things happen that's out of my control, I'm like, yo, go back in the never again. And like that was the thing where in the beginning when I was working full time and it was something on the side, I started realizing that every time I was over here, it was the happiest I can possibly be on a daily basis. And then I'd get pulled out and I'd be like, that's not. And then every time I went back, I was like, yo, this is the best version of me. And then eventually I was like, why don't you just fucking stay there? And then that's when I started taking it more serious. And I'm like, all right, well, how do we stay here? Well, you need money to fucking turn the lights on. You need to do all this. And then you start finding creative ways to sell your creativity. And it's like, it's odd talking about it. I love meeting people who are also doing it. And I just think it's certain people that just, you have to do it. I have to do this. Like it's not normal.
Way.
I took a break, and then when I got back to doing it, I just felt like I was on empty and I was all the way up here. It was very similar like when I traveled, and I try and pay attention to like gas tanks and like where energy's at with things, and like creativity and all that really fills up these highs that are so high that I'm constantly coming down where I need them to keep going back up, and like I keep my levels up. And when I remember when I traveled, I was just like, oh man, I didn't realize like I needed to get out and like go get inspired. Like I love going into the city and seeing graffiti and like just looking at colors and things, and then I get inspired, and then I'm like, man, I want to go home and make a fucking graffiti t-shirt. And like it's a lot of like things that I don't notice, that like it's just general inspiration that fuels you to constantly be creating.
Yeah, the crazy thing is you can pull inspiration from anywhere.
It's nuts.
I've like things that you would never think of. Like I don't know, I see a dog walking around or something, and I'll like think of, oh, okay, I can do a design something. You know what I mean? It's just like
it's
shit'll
fun.
pop up out of nowhere. And I've been lucky to my main job. I travel constantly. I'm on a plane like every week. You know what I mean? So I'm lucky enough to be able to. I'm in California all the time. I'm in Miami all the time. Even it's not all just, New York City, Miami, LA. It's like I'm in Kentucky and I'm in, Kansas. I'm everywhere. You know what I mean? So I'm blessed to be able to pull inspiration from all these different places that I go to. And I definitely utilize that.
What was it like when you when you launched this and people started fucking with it? What was that feeling like to kind of start building, like, because your social media numbers are solid, and I see a lot of the content you put out, and like people fuck with your stuff. And sometimes when you put out projects and things in general, not you, but like it's hard to get that following. So to be well received or to to build it the way you guys like. What was that like for you, motivation wise, for people to still want more of it?
It's awesome. It's a great feeling. I mean, because that's what you ultimately do it for, right? Like you create because, I mean, I guess subconsciously you want that validation. You know what I mean? So yeah, when people like what you do, that's a great feeling. I think people really started liking what I was doing when I stopped caring if people liked what I did. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it is a great feeling. Yeah.
What's the new projects that you have coming up, or like that? Because you do multiple things, and the magazine, I love all that, and like now that I kind of understand that a little bit more, I'm definitely fucking with it, and like when you talking about having events and having people come out, like that's awesome to be able to host events. I always like hosting events and doing stuff like that, so that's a fun creative pool. But like, what's the show you were talking about? That I believe you started talking about a couple months ago with doing like music and stuff.
Yeah, afternoon radio is the idea behind it was to rewind a little bit. So first of all, we needed music to go with our skate videos or whatever we're doing, and like obviously licensed stuff. It's been like you said back in the day, you could put up whatever song you want on YouTube or whatever. You know what I mean? Like skate videos weren't asking
still getting
for
shit
permission.
Flagged.
You know what I mean? So I make beats too, and I've been a producer for a long time. So I would always make.
When did you get into that?
High school.
Yeah.
Like I just I bought like a little machine. It's called a machine. That's what it is. It's like a little MPC beat pad, and I started making beats with that, sampling stuff or whatever. So I did that all throughout high school, all throughout college. Never really did anything with it. I wasn't like releasing music or anything, but it was nice because I could make the music for the videos.
Were you fucking with turntables too?
No, I never got into like the turntable thing, even though I love that. I mean, that was like early hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to its core. And I would like to fuck around with that shit.
My friend Kevin was one of the best DJs in the Valley for a long time, and he got me into them. And he set up spare tables at this place I was living in, and I fell in love with him. And just from talking to you, matching music and all that shit, I think it would be a rabbit hole you wouldn't stop.
Yeah, I definitely
And when we were doing it, he was like, do you want to go to the Scratch Academy in New York City? And it was Jam Master Jay's school. And I did a semester there. I was fucking
really?
driving in. Yeah,
Holy
I have the certificate. It was crazy, man. I was so nervous because like I didn't do that. He did that.
Yeah.
He was on like a pro level and I was taking the intro level. But I always like telling the story because it's so odd on how it was, where we would go into the city and you went into a classroom and it was turntables and it was in a U shape, and then there was an instructor and he went over what you were going to learn. So let's say one day you were going to learn how to make cuts, so then he would bring in a DJ from the city that was famous or popular. That's awesome. Would be putting like the one guy that came on, like he taught us that like in order like to like create an atmosphere. So like they did a little bit of everything, but what his lesson was is that like he would go to clothing stores and he would play that like background music and would like just kind of create the mood. And then there was another guy who came in and his whole thing was, you don't get to play the songs that you like to play. You want to play songs that women get on the dance floor and dance. Right. And when women get on when they get on the dance floor, then men go on the dance floor. Right. And it was like a real breakdown of how the instrument worked. But it was crazy because you were in a U, and then they'd be like, all right, today we're going to learn how to cut. Yeah. And then like he would go over it, and then he'd be like, all right, you have a couple minutes, and then you would sit there and scratch, and they'd walk around like it was fucking home ec, and he'd be like, let me see you cut. And then I'd be like, yeah, you did the whole thing. And then you had to put a presentation on, and you had to go in front of the class and cut. It was cool.
Awesome,
and at a point in my life, I was going to pursue DJing or Never Again, because I was doing Never Again at the time, and the apparel was growing, and it cost money to do both. Yeah, and to get the DJ equipment it's
expensive. Let's
say $10,000, and to move forward with Never Again was the same amount of money, and I was like, fucking, I already have this established. I'm going with clothing. And it was one of those points in life where you look back on it. But every time I talk to somebody about tables, I haven't done it in forever, but I used to sit up for hours. And that was at a time when Serato was just coming. So it was brand new to scratch on an MP3 with the fucking blank records and shit. I don't even know if anyone fucks with tables anymore. It's kind of all digital shit.
Yeah. Well, I think they have like a digital version of the tables now. Yeah. But
But
yeah,
that,
I
but
don't
as
know
soon as
too
you
much
said the
about it.
beats, like I've always wanted to get into that. That's another endless thing of just sitting around fucking creating that shit.
Yeah. So I mean,
You still fuck
started
with
out-
that stuff?
Yeah,
Fuck
absolutely.
yeah.
You know, to the I mean,
Let's
that's
go.
when this afternoon radio thing started. I mean, so basically, it started with me making the beats for just our videos, so that we had stuff that we could use that
Yeah.
wasn't licensed or anything that we would run into issues. And then through the magazine, I met my friend Black Dre, who's a rapper from the area, and I was just shooting photos with him. But I would be in the studio because he's in the studio all the time, so we'd be shooting photos in the studio, and I would be there just hanging out. And I was like, I have all these beats like laying around, so I started bringing them in to the studio, and then as things progressed, we would like make a couple songs, and we really started realizing like, okay, we can make like, I don't know, an album, an EP. What should we do with this? I don't want to do just like a regular mixtape or like some stupid shit, you know what I mean? So I started thinking about it, and I was like, I want to do like a Lehigh Valley MTV mixed with, you know, like the Captain and Casey show
Yeah.
mixed with like Adult Swim. It kind of like became this hybrid where we're doing music, skateboarding, you know, we're doing all kinds of different things. So that's what afternoon radio is. It kind of is just another creative outlet, just like Palette, where local musicians we're working with. I'm just booking studio time at this point. I'm bringing a bunch of beats into the studio, and I'm bringing a bunch of artists from the Valley, and you know, whatever happens at the session happens, and that's what it's been. So our first event was, I mean, it was awesome. It's all organic music, original production. All the artists are from the Lehigh Valley. All the videos are from videographers from the Lehigh Valley. It's just another completely organic ABE thing.
When are you like? So then, do you take? Obviously, you film when you're in the studio and all that, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
chop up the whole video, and then what are you releasing it on format wise? Because are you releasing audio and video, or like how are you breaking it up for that?
So we're doing the whole show. You'll have to see it because it's harder to explain than it is to just show you. But we're doing it on YouTube. That's what we're releasing it on. The whole show.
Did you release
is
any of
like-
it yet?
Yeah, we did our first season. That's
Okay.
it. So we started off the first one. I was like, okay, let's do a couple episodes, and then we had a season finale. But I think the second season we're just gonna do one big episode.
And just do one video?
Yeah, and it'll be like 20 or 30 minutes of, you know, and in that episode there's a couple music videos, there's skate clips, there's
Yeah.
you know, all kinds of shit in there. But yeah, I mean,
I love how all of it pulls back together because when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
explained it, it's kind of very similar to like '90s skate videos. Like
Yeah,
how it was,
that's
you know what I
the
mean?
idea.
Yeah.
yeah, it's to turn it into something that, again, all this is just from, you know, nostalgia, all the stuff that I liked as a kid.
Because everything changes.
Yeah.
And then everything, you know, like I said, like how everything was for me is like, oh, well, I don't like that you're really turning the dial on the things that I like. And then when you
Yeah.
start creating your own shit, you can start making it how you want it so you can bring back the effects. And then I don't know, like, because then the longer you do it, the more you understand like how to do it. Like obviously this is you've been creating for a while because all of these projects that you're talking about, you're really just kind of breezing through them, but this is very elaborate planning and like getting all this shit together.
Yeah,
It's not easy to put together a magazine, let alone then to get studio time, and most of the time people are doing one of these things.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just all compounded over time. You know what I mean? Learning production, learning videography, learning photography. It all just kind of happened slowly over time, and now it just feels pretty,
So
you know, seamless.
are you growing off of all these ideas now, and like because there's so much that we've gone over, you've done the apparel, then you have the magazine, then you have the afternoon show, then you also are doing you guys are skating around and going to food spots. Let's get into that.
Yeah. We did the food review. That was
Yeah.
again, that was something that was just spur of the moment. Like, again, all my friends that I grew up with, we were like, let's skate around the city. Let's do a show where we skate these spots, and then we'll hit some food
What was it
spots
called?
near the spots. To be honest, I don't even know what we called it. I think it was called maybe Street Eats or something.
Yeah, it was something like
Streets and
that.
Eats
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like that. Again, it wasn't like something we really put time into. We just went out one day. We're skating anyway. We're filming, so we filmed some skate clips, and then went to some food spots and just
Yeah.
like reviewed them. And it was just funny. You know, people were just cracking jokes and just being stupid. But we should bring that back because
I want you to
that
bring
was
that
fun,
back.
yeah.
I watched it. I was like, yeah, that's cool. And it was done well. Like, that's the thing is, like, you know, you're like, there wasn't a lot of effort into it, but like, you guys know how to create content. So like, you have a specific look. And I feel like that's how I was trying to explain 12th and Market in the beginning is like, you nailed like the brand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys have your own way you do things. Like, I'm sure it's how people view my shit. Like, it's just the way I do stuff. It's the colors I choose. It's how I create to do it like it's a painting.
Right.
So, like, 12th and Market to me, even though you're doing all these different things, it's all with the same paintbrush. So it all comes underneath the same umbrella.
Yeah.
And that's very similar where, like, it's so nuts because, like, when I trademarked Never Again, that's what, like, my brother was like, hey, you should do Never Again clothing. And I was like, I don't really want to pigeonhole this, not even knowing what was going to come out of it. But now it's like Never Again clothing, Never Again radio, then it's Never Again studio. And then it was like, all right, well, Never Again studio, I can put all my production underneath this. And then it's like, once you start like, and like, that's the part where most of the people give up in the beginning of the ground structure. And like when you get through all the bullshit and you get through all of the, hey, I don't even know what the fuck I want to do, and you keep going, once you have like the ability to actually create the things inside the umbrella, you can move shit around. And then it's like, oh, hey, I'm just going to fucking go, like, for instance, like, for you to say like it's not that much effort for you guys to do that, it's very similar to me being like, well, I'm just going to start a cooking show because I know how to do a cooking show. I know how to host this, so I'm not going to have a problem hosting that. But for somebody who would not be doing anything that you're doing and be like, well, I want to start a review show, and they don't know how to edit and they don't know how to fucking. I remember how long it took me to have the confidence to get a shot with a camera. Like, I'd always think I was in somebody's way when we'd be skating. Then, I remember one point where I'd be like, no, you get out of my way. Like, I'm trying to get the shot. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, there's so much behind that. But I just think it's fucking dope that you're able to actually just, with ease, do all this different stuff. And it all comes together underneath one fucking name.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive what you've done.
I guess it just came, like I said, it doesn't feel like, because it's been so many years, like we started really filming and taking photos and doing all that stuff when we were like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, editing is like I can breeze through and edit, you know what I mean? Because, I don't know, we used to edit skate videos and, you know, I just through time, you just get quicker with things.
Yeah. What's it like for you now? Like, it just seems like you have all these projects going on. How do you keep it all together?
But like you said, it all kind of works with each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like I'm like doing this project and then doing this project and then doing this. It's like, okay, well, we have new clothes coming out. Let's go shoot some ads for the clothes. And while we're out, we're working with this artist. We're going to shoot a music video with him wearing the clothes.
Yeah.
That can be cut as an ad, and we can also shoot the video in the same day. And we're going to the studio at night and we're shooting photos and video there while getting, music done and working on afternoon radio. And it all just kind of like works within itself. And then anything we're not using for that, we can put in Palette, or we can do, just social media clips and whatever. So, I mean, it doesn't feel like it's a bunch of different projects to me. It just feels like what I do.
I feel like, and like I said, because it's parallel to how I run things over here, and it's few and far between where I run into other people who are doing it this way, but I think it's the best way to work, especially if you're coming off of, from having to create and having to do different things, because I don't want to be not doing anything that isn't putting up what I'm doing. So like these podcasts, they're showcases for other people, but it's exposing me to their audiences and vice versa. It's a piggyback system. Then when I go over and do apparel, I'm putting up I'm probably dropping apparel next week. We've worked on a really long time on it, but I've also I don't want to rush apparel. It's one of my favorite things to create, and I've already have rushed apparel or brought in items back, but I really want to feel the process of doing it. But it allows me to do that because I don't have to be on this timeline for apparel, because I'll just put out content and I'll put out podcasts. And then if I need more time with the apparel, well, whatever, I got food in between feeding that fucking thing, and I got people coming out to pop-ups. And then when I do over here with apparel, like what you said, it's selfishly for me. Like, I'm putting out this fucking next drop because it's what I want to do. I don't give a fuck if you don't buy it. I may lose on it or I may make on it, but that's being made regardless. And there's a lot of people who don't have the balls to even put that idea on paper from your fucking head. But I've been doing this for so long, like what you said, I'm not even questioning what it's going to be. I send
yeah.
it out to a couple people, and they'll be like, "Yo, that's fucking dope," and I'm like, "Oh, I think I got some." And the build up to me, you know what I mean? The whole process of putting it out there and being nervous and being like, "People gonna fuck with this?" Like I'm still nervous to put out apparel. Like I want that feeling.
Yeah.
I want to know. Like it's funny when you said that. Like, don't get it twisted, because it brought me back to like, I don't know how anyone receives any of this shit. But there's a part of me that gets a little nervous, and I like that, and it drives me to create and to drop different stuff. But apparel to me is that's I tried stopping doing it and just doing the radio show, and then I was just like, yeah, okay, well let's go over here.
Yeah,
I like cutting in and out, and when you with the magazine's got to be such a rabbit hole to do whatever the fuck you want, and especially with being a photographer. And I like that you bring in the different groups of people, and then you have other people doing photography with you and shit. You really have created a very unique fucking playground to do whatever the fuck you wanted.
Well, thank you. And I think I've really tried to be conscious about that and not have it all be what I'm doing, like bringing in other photographers, even though I'm a photographer, bringing in other videographers, even though I do that, because it's not, again, at the end of the day, it's not really about just this. It's about, like, I truly believe that the Lehigh Valley can be built into something like a New York, like an Atlanta, like an LA.
Do you see it coming?
Talent. Yeah, I do. And I think what we're building is a great start to that. I don't know of, and I'm sure there are, but I mean, I don't know of personally, like, other brands or companies or whatever that are really like working with everyone, and it's not like this crabs in a barrel thing. It's like our afternoon radio episodes, people are recording tracks with other artists that they would never work with. You know what I mean? We have collab songs on those albums or tapes or whatever you want to call it, like of two artists that would never work with each other. But because I'm just booking the studio time, bringing everyone in, you have like these great songs that we're making that, you know, you would never see come to light in any other situation.
I also like the uniqueness of you being able to put that together. Like, you know what I mean? It's not easy to put people in the room that you think will work well together, and then it actually does work well together. So, like, that's also awesome that you're able to even network in that sense of like, hey man, like I think this is gonna all work here, and you create an atmosphere where it's like a hang and people are enjoying themselves. And like I like doing that down here on just like with friends. Like, hey, I think this person and this person are gonna get along, and then like I have people down for the fights all the time. But even to create an atmosphere for that, like I like doing that. Like, hey, this is all working. And then you see people getting along with each other. And it's like, it's fun to orchestrate that kind of networking too, because you're also picking that from your brain, because you're not just guessing shit's going to work.
Yeah.
You're thinking in long term, like, hey, I think this would work with this, and this guy would work on these beats. And like I said, man, I love picking people's fucking brains. And you and Clapped are the two recent ones where it's really fucking impressive what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, man. That's awesome to hear, honestly. You said you watched the fights down here?
Yeah, I'll watch
it. Do you
it.
film it?
No, because I never got into filming the fights, because it's the one thing that I'm doing that I don't work.
Oh, okay. What UFC fights, like MMA and stuff?
Yeah, I watch everything at this point. I'm watching bare knuckle. I'm like, I got into it. I got into UFC at the point where I used to have to go to like fucking. What is that up there? The Scorecard, you know, back when they only had pay-per-views and you had to go to a restaurant to watch it. Yeah. So it's come a long way. I've had some, for the big stuff like McGregor and stuff, you kind of get the casuals that'll come down here. But for the most part, there's 4 or 5 of us that just watch the fights every fucking Saturday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we do it here.
Awesome.
You know, I'm not married. I don't got kids. We can do whatever the fuck we want down here. So, all my other friends don't really have a location to do that, so it usually ends up being down here.
Great,
sometimes it gets overwhelming, and I'm tired of hosting. Like, that's where I'm at right now. So the other guys will pick up the slack once in a while, and then we'll come back here. But that whole area over there is basically built for watching fights. Like, I turn the lights off, and I have like fucking lights on the TV, and I'll put it to McGregor gets green. Are you into fights?
Dude, I love it. Yeah. I was actually.
You do any of the local shit? Like, get into local stuff?
You know what? I haven't. There's been a couple I've seen, but I've never actually really gotten into it. I've been a big MMA fan for a while. I mean, my dad opened up a school here in the Lehigh Valley, a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu school years ago.
Hell yeah.
So like I've been around it for a long time, but man, I'm super into it. I was actually in Vegas when Khabib fought McGregor.
Yeah.
Like I was literally, I stayed at I was at the Luxor and they were like right over there at the T-Mobile Center. They had the weigh-in. You know how they do like the weigh-in? My girlfriend and I were there, and I was like, we should fucking go and see the weigh-in. I don't know why we didn't. And I was like, it's so stupid not to go. It was like the biggest fight in history, and I was
because that was when McGregor was making weigh-ins entertaining.
Oh my god!
And I feel like a lot of the weigh-ins are now the way they are because of, I remember him having like the fucking stadiums filled for the weigh-ins.
Dude, he changed everything. Yeah, it was crazy, and I kicked myself for not going because I was like, I was in Vegas right there for one of the biggest fights in history, and I didn't do anything. I should have just been. I've
never gone out to a UFC fight. A couple of my friends went. And they sat in nosebleeds, but I'll go once. And when I do, we were supposed to go see Adesanya, and my buddy who I travel with, and I'm going to Cali with, and he took me out to Vegas, and I'm very fortunate because he travels so much that he shows me the best of best. Like when we go out to Cali, like he has the whole thing for this like Fear and Loathing Las Vegas fucking road trip we're doing on. It's gonna be a blast. But like when he took me out there, like he works out there constantly, so he's friends with security, and they do security at UFC. So like this guy was a chance that he was going to get us tickets. So to fly out, we were going to take the chance, and if we didn't get the tickets, we were going to go to the weigh-ins, and we would just find somewhere to watch them because you're in Vegas for the fights. It's a win-win. I'm not here. So we were supposed to do that, and it was like, so that was March, right before COVID hit, and then the UFC had that little bit of a downtime before it went Apex.
Yeah.
But I said, like, when I do UFC, I'll probably go one time and I'll pay the money to get awesome seats and have a weekend in fucking Vegas.
I was just
and like
gonna say that,
burn it down and then fucking come home and be like, okay, I did it once. I don't need to do it a couple times in nosebleeds.
It's not. I was gonna say it's watching it at home is 10 times better. Than
Oh my god, yeah. Well, even when we would go to the Sands, that was the first time where I was like, I can't see through this fucking cage. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you start realizing, and then you don't have the commentators, and like, it's a cool experience from the energy. But like, I'll go do it once. But we went out to Bare Knuckle. My buddies got me tickets for Bare Knuckle for my birthday. They were at the Indian Casino. What the fuck is the name of it? It's like 3 hours away from here.
Okay.
And it's because it's an Indian casino. Bare Knuckle is not. I think they're really close to being licensed to start doing it everywhere.
Okay, gotcha.
But we went out to that, and that was fucking one of the craziest things ever. We were fucking second row. It's so like at a level where it's about to get bigger, but like you could yell, and you know what I mean? Like it's not like too many people. Right. Like we bought the whole row. Like my buddy was like, we were out getting beers. He goes, let's buy everybody in the row beers. We're like, what? So like we come back and we're like, you want a beer? You want a beer? Like it was fucking awesome. And it was crazy, man. Like I saw this dude get flatlined, and we were 2 rows away, and it lined up because Bare Knuckle sucked too because it's more corners. So it was harder. Like once they start moving, the only time I saw them is when they were straight on, and the dude fucking flatlined him, walk off KO'd, and he just hit right in front of us. And me and my buddy stood up. We're like, let's go.
That's awesome.
I love going to shit. We wore suit coats. People thought we worked there because everyone else was in like Stone Cold t-shirts. It was Bare Knuckle. But
that's just like some local like Bare Knuckle thing, or is that BKFC?
BKFC.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like because after that, like I kind of saw. It was crazy, man. We went to the bar afterwards, and the fucking guy who runs the entire thing, who's actually local because he used to fucking manage Zach Maslany over at Finishers, he started telling me about them when Bare Knuckle first came on the scene, and like, this is when they were still building it up. Now they got Mike Perry and some other people fucking really blowing the sport up. But like,
Perry's huge right now over there.
Dude, he's the man. But I love seeing like when I followed Mike Perry, and then to see Mike Perry get his, like I'm like, fuck yeah, Mike Perry. Like that dude went through so much shit, and like at one point he was just in the UFC without a corner, and like had some girl who was with him.
About that,
like, and then now he's over here getting like they asked him if he'd come back to UFC, and he's like, nah, they'd never pay me what I'm getting paid over here.
Dude, he had that face off with McGregor. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that was
right
cool
now?
too. That was cool. The McGregor's always just drunk at those things.
How could you not love that dude, man? He's just the energy he brings is insane,
I love him, man. Yeah, so it was cool going out to see that, but yeah, I'm big into fights. I thought a couple times about like trying to do like the fight night things, and then which I'm not opposed to doing, but like
Like
that.
a fight companion or
Yeah,
something?
but like watching the
Man,
fights.
Bring me in.
Yeah, we
I
could
wanna
set,
do it.
dude. We could set it up. It'd be easy to do too.
That'd be awesome.
But like for me, watching the fights, it's the only time I'm not working. And it's like the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
real
No, I feel you,
disconnect
I
I
feel
get.
you.
But I wouldn't mind doing one.
Yeah.
We could definitely set one up. It would be easy to do down here too.
I
But
love
like
that shit, man.
that's really like I look at like what I do. Like alls I do is work, and then like the only thing I really get to do that disconnects from it is like. And it's cool because, and I'm sure you can relate because like how 12th and Market came up, but like the guys who come down to fight night are people have been fucking with me since I was like my one friend Tim that comes down. I've known him since I was probably 12, maybe even younger. So like we still make fun of it because I'd always be like, yo, I'll meet you halfway, and he would walk to my house, and we never would meet him halfway, and he would have to walk the whole way. I mean, he still brings it up, but like my friend Jer, like his family brought me in to their family, and I go on vacation with them every year, and like his kids are like basically like my fucking niece and nephew, and then like my friend Dustin comes down, like he's been a big part of my life. So it's like it's really like a huge disconnect to be like out of the world of creating, which I think is important to come out of that, because you
Absolutely,
can
yeah.
get swallowed in too much creating, and then you get lost, and then you get frustrated, and you don't know where to go with anything. But having like that core group of friends that like bring you back to like, we're still laughing like we did when we were on the fucking school bus. And like, I think that's what is so important to me about watching the fights. Cause every Saturday, even this Saturday, some of the guys aren't around, and Jared was like, I got to leave Sunday for Vegas, but like we should watch the fights. And I was like, yeah, come down. I'm like, I got to work. I'm doing a pop-up Sunday, but like, yeah, it's my break. I love it. It's fun running into other people. I could talk fights for another fucking
Dude, me
2
too.
hours.
We could
on
do
here.
a fucking whole podcast.
anytime you want to do anything, I'm down. Where's 12th and Market at right now? Like, what's the things for this year? What do you have coming up? Like, kind of like what's going on? Just kind of wrap the whole interview up.
Yeah, we're getting we got a bunch of new clothing coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping to get Afternoon Radio 2 done by Halloween, because I'd like to do a big Halloween event for that.
That's cool.
And then Palette 7 for the end of the year, New Year's, probably a big New Year's event for the release of Palette 7, drinking, skating, the whole nine, everything.
Do you know, like, we were talking a little bit about this before, is like, do you know where you want to host all this stuff at?
I don't know. We've bounced around. Like the first event we did at Luckenbach Mill, we worked with Bethlehem Museums and Sites, historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites. They were great to work with. It was just like the ground was too rough for skating, and then because it's skateboarding, vendors, alcohol, it's a bunch of things. It's like, okay, Luckenbach Mill was great for everything, just the ground was a little too rough for skating. Then we did Weyerbacher Brewery last event, and it was like that was good. The ground was good for skating. It was just like a little too dark, and the situation for the performers, like we do a concert every time too, so there's like rappers and stuff, and that was just like not the greatest. So it's like we're gonna find our home eventually, maybe that we do something annually there or not, and we just keep bouncing around and just making it work.
What's have you looked into like doing like hotels and stuff like that, or now that you kind of say that, like, the skating and everything, it'd be kind of hard to tie everything to one place.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest issue usually is the skating, because obviously all the liability stuff that's involved, people don't want to touch that. You know what I mean? And skateboarding still has like this bad rap, so like you talk to someone at maybe some big
It's
hotel
almost
or
like
whatever,
weed
they're
not
like,
being
nah.
legal in PA. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Like it's one of those things where people just don't even want to touch it. So I don't know. I think what we'll do this year is we'll just do the skating portion at a skate park.
Yeah.
And then like the plazas in Southside, we'll probably do the skate plaza for the skating, and then maybe Arts Quest right across the street for like the rest of the stuff, the vending.
Yeah, that's
the
not bad
concert,
either,
that kind of
because then you
stuff.
kind of separate it to where you can just kind of like, hey, over here then at this time. And if everything's close like that, you could definitely pull it off.
And it deserves that much time. You know what I mean? Like these other places, it's been like, okay, they have 5 hours allocated for our event. And it's like 5 hours to skate, enjoy skating, have a beer or two, hang out, and then check out all the vendors. It's not enough time, you know what I mean? So with this, we can skate at the plaza for as long as we want. We could start at 8 a.m. if we want to, and then bounce over to Arts Quest and do.
And then you have
everything
your
else.
area over there for the musicians, because then it's not like everyone kind of like, it's hard because I've put on stuff down here and it's like some stuff works and then it's like, all right, well, there's only one bathroom. And then Harvey, when the barbershop was up here, he was allowing me to use that, but it's like you can only get away with that for so long. Then it limits the amount of people you can have down here. And then it's like, you know, it's tough to find the perfect venue, but that'd be dope because then you would have a little bit for everybody where you have your skating section and then you can go over here and then you're already, you know, they already put shows on over there.
Yeah,
you can do it inside or outside.
And it's a good size too. Like I think the one issue that we had with Weyerbacher as far as the performances went was it was so big. You know what I mean? The warehouse was so big that there was a bit of an echo, and it wasn't like for a show you want people to pack in. You know what I mean? I think there were people that were just like spread out, you know, and the performers, I want to give them the best, you know, stage that they can possibly have. So I need something that's packed where people are going to be, you know, it's going to look like a real concert in there.
I'm excited to see it come together. What's the theme for the apparel? Do you have one? Or are you not even talking about it? Or what are you doing with the apparel?
Like a theme for...
Like kind of like your
overall.
vibe of what you're putting out with it.
I mean, we honestly, I'll do like little collections and stuff. So we just did this like mom and pop collection, which was, you know, we did a shirt that was 12th and Market Diner.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, a burger and fries or whatever and cigarettes or something. And then we did like 12th and Market Raceway, and we're going to do 12th and Market Billiards. And, you know, so that's going to be just like, you know, the theme of it is going to be just like regular everyday stores and shops that you would see in a city. You know what I mean? But 12th and Market themed. That's kind of like an homage to like real streetwear, what streetwear really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we switch it up. We do like regular logo tees, and you know, I do a little bit of everything. Like, so I would like to touch on it all.
Yeah, I get that, man. I appreciate you coming on. Anytime you want to do this, you can. Anytime you want to bring anyone back that you fuck with, or if you're releasing something and you want to get some content out of it, doing a podcast, you can plug in here to whenever you want to do anything. I think it's awesome what you do. I was so fortunate to be able to get picked through that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I follow you. I see your stuff. I'm a busy person. I don't get to know the in-depths of ins and outs of what anyone really does, and it's part of the reason I love bringing someone down here. You have struck so much interest in me to just watch you create that I can't wait to dive into the stuff that you come out with next. And I think it's important to have people like you in the area and the others doing stuff like this that's just to make it, you know what I mean? Like you keep saying, like, I think this is going to be a city or like this and like that, but it takes people like yourself to be bringing the creativity and the artwork and the events and things that you do. It takes that for it to turn into something. If it wasn't for people like you, like, I get so frustrated being around here sometimes because sometimes people aren't doing anything, and then it's really fucking annoying and I get bored. And like, I love bringing people on here that are putting on events and doing shit like that. I try and do that, and like even just doing shit in this dumb town that I'm stuck in. Like, I like putting shit on, and then the one time somebody came down here and they're like, yo, this is dope, you're doing music down here, and I'm like, somebody's got to. So like, I appreciate that you're even doing that for the city that you're in. I want to give you a chance to plug anything where anyone can find out what you're doing 12th and Market, and kind of give you a chance to kind of put yourself up.
Yeah, all the social media is 12th and Market, at 12th and Market. 12thandmarket.com is our website. That usually has some information, but that's mostly just where you can buy product. We got Afternoon Radio 2 coming out, Palette 7's coming out, all kinds of new clothing coming out, pants, hoodies, all that stuff for fall. Yeah, man, just follow and keep up with us. And thank you for having me, man.
Of course.
Appreciate it. And we should work on something.
Anything you
That'd
want to
be
work on, I will be down to do. If you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, first-time anything Never Again, you can go to neveragainstudio.com. That has everything I'm doing. All my merch is going to be on there. Probably by the time this drops, the new merch will be out there, so you can go on there and you can check that out. We're going to be doing a lot of pre-orders, kind of changing the way we do the merch up. All the videos on there, the podcasts are on there. You can check it out on Spotify, iTunes, anything Never Again Studio. Follow on YouTube, and just check out everything that I'm doing. Check out anything that he's doing, and I appreciate you for coming on, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Again Radio. Get into it, brother.